Hi everyone, I'm Glenn Flaherty and this is Board Games and Bourbon, and today I wanted to talk about Swinging Jivecat Voodoo Lounge, which is a super fun, engaging game that just has really great components. It comes with martini glasses with these colored chips that are kind of like, specialty ice. They come with these little monkeys that are charms for your drink. Normally you put those on to indicate it's your drink, but here it's used for scoring. It has these little masks in the game that are skulls. It has coasters that give you the rules. The cards in the game that you're going to be using also have real life recipes on them for how to make a bunch of cocktails. And there's just a lot of fun things going on with it that made me want to share about it. And some people also ask, how do you play it? So I wanted to explain that. But before we get too far, today's day drinking is coming to you by Zacapa 23 rum. It's made with rums up to 23 years old. It's very sweet, very easy to drink. That's one you're going to want to drink straight. It has caramel, burnt caramel underneath and a little bit of cinnamon on top. Fantastic. I discovered that in a music class. I've been drinking it ever since. Okay, so what do we do in this game? Well, in this game, you have a board right here. And this board there's a lot to scan. There's a lot of people having fun in 4 quadrants of the board. And every one of these people have a number on them. And those numbers are numbers that you have to use and hit via card play to place chips on them. So to start the game, you are going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in your hand. And each one of these cards has a number on them. Not only a number, this says 8, but also has a power. This card here has a different number, a 7, and a different power. Okay, there's a bunch of different powers in the game. And the powers do things like they let you place chips. They let you skip over someone else's chip. They make other people give you tokens that you use to use powers. They let you place your tokens on scoring areas of the board and so forth and so on. And there are 3 locations on the board you're trying to reach. There are areas on the board that have little POW symbols on it, kind of like you'd see in Batman. Those are worth 1 point if you get your chip on it. There are actually cool cats on the board. If you get there, you get 2 points. And the third condition is if you get rid of tokens in a special place on the board, you can actually turn your Jivecat points from 2 into 3 points. And the game's over when somebody has 15 points total. So what are you going to do in the game? Okay, so you're going to start with your martini glass full of your chips, and you are going to try to place your chips on the board. Now, there are specific places that are noted where you're going to start on the board. They look like conversation starters or little conversation bubbles on the board. And you're going to choose one of those locations, you're going to put your chip right on it. Adjacent to where you start is going to be a whole bunch of numbers. And let's say, for instance, I'm on a 7, and the adjacent numbers are a 5, a 6, an 8, another 8, a 9, a 4, and what is this? Another 9. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my cards, and I'm going to try to figure out a way that I can place a token on those spots. So I have a bunch of options there, and here's a 7 and here's a spot that's a 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my card that says 5, and that'll let me put a token right there, assuming there hadn't already been a token there from my previous game. Okay, so now I started to build my route. If I did not want to place my token on the board, what I could do is play my card down to the table for a power. So this one here, this is called the zombie card. And when I play this card down in front of me, what that's going to do is, instead of putting a 5 on the board, it's going to allow me to have access to that 5 card when I place anywhere else on the board. Why is that important? Well, because it gets me out of jams. If there's a number I'm trying to get to, like a 3, but I only have an 8 card, and I want to get to that 3, what I can do is I can discard my 8, discard the 5, right? Use the power of the 5, because 8 minus 5 equals 3. And that's kind of the clever part of the game. You are trying to get to any of these numbers through adding your cards, by having the exact card, by subtracting your cards. But when you do so, you might be throwing away a power that you want in the future. Okay. And then once you're done, you're going to get your hand back up to 4. And who knows what those cards are going to be. Now, the powers. What are the powers the cards do? Some cards are going to let you jump over. And I'm reading this, by the way, right from the coaster here. You can jump over. That's called, that's the horse card. There's one that's a zombie card. The zombie card acts as a permanent one that helps you manipulate. There's another one called errata. And if you put that down, what that does is it says, let's say this card here, that's an 8. If I put this down in front of me, that means that anytime anyone else plays an 8, they have to pay me a skull token. Okay, now what's important about skull tokens? Skull tokens are used to activate our power cards. So anytime I want to use any of my cards, I have to pay one of these. And you only have 5 at most. Okay, so you have to keep replenishing these. I'm going to talk about how to replenish those in a second. The other powers are that you can pay a skull to a person and then you can mess them up. You can either remove their zombie card that gives them powers. You can take a disc of theirs off the board. You can take their Rada card off the board. So I pay you, but then I mess you up a little bit. There's also cards that you play that let you place your token on the high scoring 2 or 3 point cat locations on the board. Okay. But how do you replenish those skulls? Well, that's where these 2 sides of the board come in. So over here are a bunch of cards. And if you look at this card, for example, this card has an 8. It says green and it says red. And basically what that means is if I can meet the condition of putting my token on a number 8 that's either in the red or the green, I'm going to get a skull reward. Now, over here, there's a token on an 8, but it's in blue, so that wouldn't work. But the orange player has a token on an 8 in the green location. So that means they can take this card. When they take this card, they get a related skull count. If it's from this location, you get 1 skull. If it's from this one, you get 2. And if it's from this location, you get 3. Once that card is gone, you replenish the board like that. Okay. On this side are ongoing powers. Now this one's a little harder to use because you have to really scan the board a lot. And I would say if there was a drawback to the game, it is that you are constantly scanning everything. You're scanning what card you played, what card other people played, in case I have to pay them. Did I complete these conditions over here to get more skulls? Did I complete these conditions to get these cards? Well, what these cards do? Okay, well, these cards here have a certain number of people on them, and there's characters throughout this board. And if you have the matching characters, you get the power on the card. So this says, if you have a chip on each of these bandmates, the chips you remove to score cats may be from any lounge. Now, why is that important? What does that mean? Well, normally to score a cat, again, for 2 or 3 points, you have to remove 2 tokens from other lounges. But this card says that you can remove it from any lounge, including the one that you're in. And that has an implication on gameplay because maybe you were aiming to get to other scoring locations and that could help you or hurt you. And this helps you out of those situations. And this card remains in effect for as long as you have your tokens on these people. Well, would that ever go away? Yes, because if someone plays a Rada card from their hand where they can take a chip off the board, they can take that chip off the board, mess up this card, make you lose this card. But again, if you also meet the conditions of having the people on these cards when you got it in the first place, you're going to get monkeys. If you get it from the top spot, you get 2 orange monkeys, and each orange monkey is worth 1 point. If you get it from the center, you only get 1, and if you get it from the bottom, you get 2 again. And that's really the entire game. You know, it's a very upbeat game. It's a fairly simple game too. It's not going to like overload your brain. What you do have to do is look around the whole board. But it's so endearing with all the fun components. The information is always at your disposal, especially because it's on the coaster. It's tangible. It's fun to look at. Really been having a good time with this. So that is essentially the gameplay. I should add that the game plays best at 4 and 5 people, which I haven't gotten to play yet, okay? Because I've been in my house and don't have 4 or 5 people over here yet. There are special rules. It's normally 2 to 5 people. For 2 and 3, you're going to put a dummy player out on the board. And I shouldn't say necessarily that it's better at 4 and 5, but there's it's easier to play and less to do, because at 4 and 5, you don't need to put the dummy players out. And that's really going to be it. Last thing I could add is that the game kind of in this, like, it's almost like you're partying at Mardi Gras. The design of it kind of reminds me actually of Crash Bandicoot, but the setting is definitely kind of like a lounge in Mardi Gras, because there's voodoo masks and there's like, all types of like portals where you can move around mystical in a sort of way. If you get yourself out to one of these edges here, you can actually use it as a connector to get you to some other place on the board. So you're never totally painting yourself into a corner, which is nice too. There's a lot of leeway in there. Anyway, that is Swinging Jivecat Voodoo Lounge. Fun little game, light game. Complexity, 2 out of 5. The hardest part is just observing. It's not really going to break your head on the card play. The card play itself is very fun card play. There is some, interaction where you can mess somebody up, but I think it's all in good spirits of the game too. So if you have other questions about it, let me know. I'm happy to help. And thank you so much, friends. I can't wait to talk to you again. And until then, take care. Bye.